The camera pans slowly across a dimly lit room. There are no trophies here, no chants. Only silence and the soft flicker of a television screen. On it, a boy dances through defenders like wind through tall grass. His name? Lamine Yamal. Sitting alone, barely blinking, is José Mourinho. His fingers clasped under his chin don't move, but his eyes, those sharp, time-worn eyes, are alive, focused, like he's watching more than just a game, like he's watching an echo, a question, a chance. He pauses the clip. Still frame. Yamal mid-run, one foot suspended above the grass, the stadium roaring behind him. There's something poetic about this. Because Mourinho, the special one, the provocateur, the genius who once ruled Europe with a stare and a whisper, has always been drawn to power. Not just the power of skill, but the power of possibility. And here, on this screen, is a kind of power Mourinho hasn't touched in years. A boy too young to shave, but old enough to change everything. Fade to black. Rewind. Not the tape, but time itself. Remember the swagger in a dark coat at Stamford Bridge, the outstretched arms in the rain of Milan, the sprint down the touchline at Camp Nou. "I'm not one out of the bottle," he once said. "I think I'm a special one." And he was. But time does things, to legs, to legends, to voices once feared. Mourinho, now on the edge of something, maybe the end, maybe a rebirth, finds himself looking not backward, but forward. And there, in the distant shimmer of youth and genius, is Lamine Yamal. 17. Barcelona. Left-footed magician with a mind that reads defenders like old books. His talent is not raw, it's refined, calculated, terrifyingly calm. He doesn't play like someone breaking through. He plays like someone coming back to reclaim a kingdom that was always his. And that's what haunts Mourinho most, because in every great manager's life comes a moment, the need not to win another trophy, but to shape another legend. Could Yamal be that? Or is this just the echo of ambition in a man who once held footballs beating hard in his palm and now feels it slipping? The scene ends not with an answer but a whisper, a question in the dark. Would he let me guide him? Before the spotlight found him, José Mourinho was invisible. Not to himself, never that, but to the world. In a sport obsessed with legends on the pitch, Mourinho began in the shadows. Not with a ball at his feet, but a notebook in hand and a father who had once played for Portugal whispering tactics over dinner. He studied. Obsessively. Languages, psychology, movement without the ball. While others chased the roar of the crowd, he chased control. And control, he learned, wasn't taken by strength. It was earned by understanding. Then came Barcelona. As a translator, yes. But more than that, a silent observer in a cathedral of genius, working alongside Sir Bobby Robson and then Louis van Gaal. He wasn't just translating words. He was translating philosophies. He watched, absorbed, waited. And when he stepped out of the shadows, first with Benfica, then União de Leiria, it wasn't quiet. It was an explosion. But it was in Porto where the myth began. The 2003 UEFA Cup, the 2004 Champions League. A team no one feared until they did, until he made them believe. His Porto didn't just win, they devoured giants. They played with fury, with belief, with precision, and always, with him, this man in a dark suit, prowling the sideline like a conductor commanding a storm. When he arrived at Chelsea, he didn't ask for permission. He brought a prophecy. Please don't call me arrogant, but I'm European champion and I think I'm a special one. The media laughed. Then he won. Again. And again. He broke Manchester United's dominance. He transformed Didier Drogba into a weapon of mass destruction. He turned Frank Lampard into the most complete midfielder in England. He made Chelsea believe they weren't just contenders, they were predators. But Mourinho never stayed still, because stillness meant comfort. And comfort was the enemy. He went to Inter Milan, Italy. a league known for tactics and defenders, and he cracked it open like a code. In 2010, he led Inter to the treble, the first and only Italian club to ever do so. Champions League, Serie A, Coppa Italia, all of it. And that image, him sprinting across the Camp Nou, fist clenched as Barcelona fans jeered, is frozen in time. Because that was Mourinho at his most raw. Not just winning. Defying. Next came Real Madrid. A kingdom ruled by stars and haunted by Barcelona's golden age. Mourinho didn't bow. He battled. He made them winners again. 100 points in a La Liga season. He ended Pep Guardiola's dominance. But the wars left scars. With players. With the press. With himself. Then Manchester United. Then Tottenham. Then Roma. With each stop, a new story. Some triumphant, others tragic, but always electric. Mourinho doesn't build dynasties. He wages revolutions, and revolutions burn fast. People say he's outdated, that his tactics are relics, that his fire has dimmed, but those who know, they know. He's not finished, because the special one doesn't fear being hated. He fears being forgotten. And now, as the game he helped shape begins to evolve into something faster, younger, more chaotic, he watches, he waits, and maybe, just maybe, he sees something in that chaos. A player, a puzzle, a path back to greatness. But greatness doesn't wait. It must be claimed. Before he was a name, he was a whisper. In the narrow alleys of Rocafonda, Mataró, a working-class district in Spain where football dreams are born with bare feet and concrete pitches, there was a boy who played like music. A boy whose left foot didn't just kick the ball, it spoke with it. His name was Lamine Yamal, and he wasn't like the others. By the time most kids were still tying their shoelaces, he was juggling past teenagers. Calm, silent, dangerous. At 7, he entered La Masia, that sacred place, the cradle of legends. Messi, Xavi, Iniesta, it was their playground. But Yamal didn't follow. He danced to his own rhythm. He wasn't fast. He was inevitable. His dribbles didn't look rushed. They looked choreographed, like he was solving equations mid-game. Like defenders were just pieces in his private puzzle. And by the time he turned 15, Barcelona had already whispered to the world, something special is coming. He made his senior debut for Barca at just 15 years and 2 are 90. Days 15. To most, that's a number of impossibility. To Yamal, it was just time catching up. He stepped onto the Camp Nou turf not as a boy lost in the moment, but as a boy who belonged, who understood that this grass had memories, that this stadium had ghosts. He didn't flinch. He made history. The youngest ever debutant for Barcelona in La Liga, the youngest starter, the youngest goalscorer. And still there was no celebration, no overreaction, just a nod, a look. As if even he knew. This is only the beginning. And the world watched. But it wasn't just what he did. It was how he made people feel. There was poetry in the way he played, in the way he cut inside with that left foot, in the patience he showed, like someone who had already lived this moment in his dreams 1,000 times. He broke records not with fire, but with grace. At Euro 2024, he wasn't just the youngest player ever to play in a European Championship final. He was one of the best. Spain looked to him not as a novelty, but as a solution, and he delivered. Crosses, vision, movement, that deadly. Curl into the far corner. He did things veterans only attempted, and he did it with the calm of a monk in a storm. But greatness, especially when it comes this young, carries a price. The comparisons began. Is he the next Messi? Can he be better than Neymar? Will he survive the wait? And still Yamal says nothing. Because the boy who grew up in Rocafonda knows noise doesn't make you heard. Your football does. Off the pitch, he stays out of headlines. No scandals. No chaos. Just family, training, and the ball. And maybe that's the scariest part. The hunger isn't in his words, it's in his silence. And what is he chasing? Not fame, legacy. But here's the twist. Talent this rare needs protection, needs direction, needs someone who doesn't want to control it, but understand it. Someone who's seen the pressure, the spotlight, the trap of too much, too soon. And that's where the story changes. Because somewhere, far from the stadiums and spotlights, there's a man watching. A man who once held football's greatest minds in the palm of his hand. A man who might see in Yamal not just brilliance, but a calling Mourinho. But the question isn't whether Yamal needs him, it's whether he would ever listen. Because this isn't the same era. This isn't a world where shouting gets you respect. It's a world of quiet storms, of players who choose love over legacy, art over aggression. And Yamal, he's the calmest storm football has seen in years. The next one, perhaps, but next to what? And if Mourinho is watching, is it admiration or ambition? In the quiet corridors of European football, where deals are whispered before they are announced and rumors often carry more truth than headlines, a question has begun to take shape. Why is José Mourinho watching Lamine Yamal so closely? Not as a fan, not as a scout, as something else, as if he sees a future, his future, etched in the footwork of a 17-year-old. Those close to Mourinho speak of a shift, not a decline, a reflection. He no longer speaks of titles in plural, no longer jokes with the press in battle rhythms. These days, he talks of people, of legacy, of leaving something behind not on a wall, but in someone. And that someone might be Yamal. But why him? Why now? Mourinho has coached Galacticos. He's shaped warriors like Drogba, generals like Lampard, artists like Ozil. He's dealt with egos that filled entire rooms. What makes this teenager different? Maybe it's because Yamal doesn't ask for attention. He commands it. Maybe it's because Mourinho, so used to fire, sees in Yamal a different kind of flame, a quiet one, a controlled burn. The kind of talent that doesn't explode, but evolves. And that is a challenge Mourinho might not be able to resist. But would it work? On paper, they are opposites. Mourinho, volcanic, tactical, unpredictable, a master of the mind game. A believer in systems before spontaneity. Yamal, fluid, instinctive, silent. A player who paints in curves, not angles. What happens when a structure meets a storm? Some say it would suffocate him, others say it might define him. Because Mourinho, for all his rigidity, has always understood one thing. Football is about the moment before the moment, and Yamal lives in that space. He doesn't just react, he reads. He doesn't just run, he glides. And Mourinho, perhaps more than any coach, live knows what it means to carry genius, to protect it, to sharpen it. There are whispers that he's spoken to Yamal's father, that he's told close friends. This one, he could be my last masterpiece. It's not about signing him, not yet. It's about planting the seed, because Mourinho is a strategist, not just on the pitch, but off it. He understands timing, opportunity, the long game, and maybe, just maybe, he's positioning himself not to chase Yamal, but to be there when Yamal starts looking, because even prodigies need guides, and even the next one needs to know what it means to stand alone. And what better mentor than a man who built his entire empire on being different? But then comes the doubt. Would Yamal want Mourinho? Would he fit into a system where the ball isn't always free, where the game is more chess than jazz? Would his instincts be shaped or silenced? The world asks. And Mourinho remains silent, because he knows. When it's real, you don't convince, it just happens. Maybe it will be a call, a gesture, a project too poetic to ignore. Or maybe it's just admiration from a distance. But here's what we know. Mourinho is not done. Yamal is just beginning. And in that fragile space between twilight and dawn, anything can happen. The camera fades in. A boy trains alone beneath the golden haze of a Catalan sunset. Shadows stretch long over the grass. Each touch of the ball is gentle, but deliberate, as if he's not just playing, he's listening to something deeper. Somewhere else a man watches from a window. His suit is crisp, but the years have softened the shoulders. He's no longer chasing trophies. He's chasing meaning. José Mourinho, the special one, still waiting for the right moment, the right spark, the right story. And maybe it's already written, because football isn't just about goals and tactics, it's about connections, invisible threads that tie generations, personalities, dreams. Mourinho and Yamal may never speak, or they might sit one day across a table with no need for words. Just understanding, the boy who never asked for attention, and the man who once demanded the world listen. Maybe what they both want now is something quieter, a project, a purpose. Something that isn't about being famous, but being remembered as someone who didn't just play the game, but changed it. And this is where we leave you, not with answers, but with a feeling that something is coming. A collision between past and future, between control and creativity, between a boy chasing the sky and a man who once touched it and wonders if he still can. So we ask again, does José Mourinho want to coach Lamine Yamal, or does he need to? And more importantly, would Yamal ever say yes? The stadium lights go dark. But the story doesn't end here. Because stories like these, they never do. They evolve. They wait. And when they're ready, they return. Stay with us. Because the next chapter will change everything. Coming soon.